Much of the nation is watching Florida's controversial bill as it takes another step forward. Critics say it does that the Don't Say Gay bill, and there's good reason for that. It bans certain discussions of sexual orientation and gender identity from classrooms across the state. This week, Florida's Republican Governor Ron Desantis signaled his support for it.
We've seen instances of students being told by different folks in school, oh, don't worry, don't pick your gender yet, do all this other stuff. They won't tell the parents about these discussions that are happening. That is entirely inappropriate. Schools need to be teaching kids to read, to write. They need to teach them science, history.
Congressman Charlie Crist, a Democrat who's running to become Florida's next governor, a job he's held before, joins me now. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it. This bill cleared the Florida Senate Education Committee this past week and still has hurdles ahead. But I wanted to get your thoughts on what you just heard from Governor DeSantis. He was saying that, well, schools should be busy teaching, kids how to read and write and so on. And of course, yes, part of that is true. But we also have such a terrible problem in this country where, kids who are gay are bullied, and schools have to be able to deal with that sort of thing.
You're absolutely right, Jim. I think it's pretty unconscionable that our governor would be advocating censorship about something that is happening all over the world. There are gay people. In fact, last night I was at an LGBTQ caucus gala, and I just think it's important for us to understand that we're all children of God. And be accepting and be embracing and not be discriminating. And so I really don't understand where the governor's coming off with this. I don't understand where the legislature is on this. Trying to, say that certain people don't exist or we're not going to talk about it is just a head in the sand approach. And it's pretty disappointing that the governor of Florida, the current one, really takes that kind of view. I think we need to be honest about facts, honest about history, honest about our society. And to take a different view is censorship, in my view. It's wrong-headed, and it really is, putting your head in the sand. And plus, it can be very disappointing and harmful in a physical way. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of the younger folks who realize their gay status get bullied at school, and some end up committing suicide. So I think this is just a horrible step in the wrong direction. I hope the bill doesn't pass. I would hope that the governor would veto it. Obviously, he signaled he's going to sign it if it does pass. Just another reason that we need the leadership in Florida.
And this is the exact wording of the bill. A school district may not encourage classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity in primary grade levels or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students. That is pretty ambiguous.
Yeah. Well, who's the judge of all that gook that you just read out of the bill? I mean, it is ambiguous. You're giving a more appropriate word for it, but it's a joke. I mean, it's awful, and it can be hurtful, as I said, and that's why it's not appropriate for Florida or any other state in our country or anywhere in the world, frankly. We are all children of God, and whether people are gay or straight or black or white or short or tall, we should all admit facts and teach history appropriately.
And I want to switch gears to something else that's been happening in Florida, down in Miami. Earlier this week, our Randy Kay did a story on Miami voters who say their registration was changed from Democrat to Republican by someone who came to their housing development. It's a home to elderly, low-income residents who don't speak fluent English in some cases. And this is what they told Randy.
You were a lifelong Democrat.
From 1978.
And now, all of a sudden, you're a Republican.
I'm a Republican.
And you don't want to be a Republican.
I don't want to be.
Now, I asked to her, are you Republican? And she told me, yes.
This is the old card.
That's an old card.
And it says right here, Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And the new card says Republican Party of Florida. And that's not what you want.
No, I want to be Democrat.
Congressman, your thoughts on that? I know local media down in South Florida, they've been focusing on this scam attempt as well. What's going on?
Well, it sounds like what's going on is people's parties are being changed against their will. And that's illegal, that's wrong, it's inappropriate, it's outrageous. We hear from Republicans talking all the time about how they want to change the law to diminish fraud in the elections, which is a worthwhile goal. But in this case, it sounds like that people are being switched from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party against their will, without their knowledge. And I'm encouraged to hear that the local state attorney has said that her office will look into this and see what's happening. And what it would do, we have closed primaries in Florida, Jim, and so if people are registered in a party they don't want to be registered in, they're not going to be able to vote if they want to be a Democrat in the Democratic primary or if they're a Republican in the Republican primary. And that's just wrong. And meddling with that electoral process, that would make my former colleague, God rest his soul, John Lewis, flip in his grave. I mean, the vote is sacred. The vote is precious. And without having good integrity in our voting system, then we can't rely on it and can't have confidence in it. And that's just wrong for the people of Florida.
And I want to ask you about something that DeSantis is doing from a fundraising standpoint. He's got these Don't Fauci My Florida trinkets that he's been selling, beer koozies and flip-flops and that sort of thing. His official campaign website, I guess, wants to turn mockery into money, peddling these Fauci flip-flops. For $39, you can imprint Florida beaches with, quote, Fauci can pound sand. What do you make of all of this continued demonization of Dr. Anthony Fauci, who is a widely respected, medical expert who has been helping lead this country through this pandemic, and as a result of a lot of these attacks from the far right, gets a lot of death threats. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I saw Dr. Fauci testify about the death threats, and it's disturbing as hell. And, the notion that a man who has dedicated his life under several administrations, both Republican and Democrat, to simply trying to save lives and have better health care for the citizens of our country is appalling. And for the governor's campaign to have these sandals that say, Dr. Fauci pounds sand, that's grossly inappropriate. It is highly disrespectful. How do you talk to your children about having stuff like that you're putting out in your political campaign? That's not appropriate leadership. It's not appropriate parenting. It's a horrible example. Florida deserves better than what we're getting, Jim, and I hope we make a change this November.
All right, and of course, if Governor DeSantis wants to come on, we'll have him on. We can even have him debate you. Governor Christ, Congressman Christ, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it. Good talking to you.
Always great to be with you, Jim. Thank you, sir.